Good evening, nerds. I'm your host, George, here with my co-host, Daniel. We're here to
Hey,
talk
buddy.
to you about Fallout 76 and other things related to video games. How's everyone doing tonight?
Well,
All
I'm
right,
good.
Daniel, what do you got going on? What are you reading, playing, watching, listening
Uh,
to?
well, mostly fairly similar to last week, but I am doing. I just finished playing Amnesia, the one I just got that review. It's up
Yep.
on our website now for the game Amnesia. Well, it's the whole Amnesia collection that just came to Xbox, horror
Yep.
survival. Then I was playing Fallout 76, the beta. The actual launch date was today. Unfortunately, something happened, and I still have not received my physical copy yet. I did get confirmation it's supposed to be here tomorrow, so I'll definitely be playing that. And then in the meantime, I've been playing a lot of Borderlands 2, which our own Nerfed Rogue, he's the one that got me wanting to play it some more.
Yeah, it's a great game.
Yeah, I love it. But yeah, I've been playing that. As far as watching, I'm still watching a lot of NCIS on Netflix just because I love the show and it's a good show to have on when I'm playing video games because that's how I do it most of the time. I like to have that going rather than just music a lot of times. And then been watching some football, getting into that. I'm in a fantasy league with some of the guys from my old unit in the Army. As far as reading, there's a book called In the Company of Soldiers, and it was actually there was a reporter that was embedded with the 101st, which is the unit I was with, and John Burke as well. This was during the invasion of Iraq, and he was there with General Petraeus at the time. Really good insight into how a general has to do things in a big war like that. So it's pretty cool. I'm still just beginning it, but liking it so far.
Right on. If you like it, I read it years ago, back when I was in the military. Called War as I Knew It. It's General Patton's diary from World War II.
I've heard of it. I haven't read it yet. Yeah.
And it's pretty wild. Some of the stuff that happened to him, where he could have and should have died and didn't. I mean, there's one part where he's talking. He's on the front line and he's got a lieutenant colonel on either side of him, and a German machine gunner killed the two of them and missed him.
Oh wow!
Or an artillery round was a dud but landed in between the four seats on the Jeep. Things like that.
Well, I mean, not to get too personal, but I've actually had something very similar to that happen where mortar round landed. It should have been close enough to kill myself and my saw gunner that was beside me, but it was actually, we were up on top of a ridge line, and there was a little draw and ridge line, and it landed just far enough down in there that none of the shrapnel was able to angle up towards us. So yeah, it's pretty crazy stuff that happens. But yeah, same with this book. It goes into stuff like that. It's pretty cool.
Right on. That's cool. Yeah, I'll have to check it out. You'll have to let me know how it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have been playing Moonlighter, which if you guys have not heard of that game is phenomenal. It's a procedurally generated top-down dungeon diver where you own a store and you run the store by day and you sell goods to villagers, and at night you go to the dungeons to get items to wares to sell in the store. It's a lot of fun. It's got a nice art style. It's on Xbox and PlayStation, and it just came to Switch last week. If you haven't seen it and you like games like A Link to the Past, I recommend it. I'm hoping to have my review up next week for it. I'm trying to finish it before I can write about it. I've been playing some Black Ops 4. That game's a lot of fun. I need to play more zombies though. I've been doing mostly multiplayer. But yeah, it's a fun time. Did a little Blackout with a couple guys from the guild the other day. And,
I was going to ask how you liking that.
I like it. I like it a lot.
I don't know. I always worry that they're flooding the market with all these battlegrounds and
Battle Royales, yeah.
Or battle royales, yeah. And I just worry that it might be too much at some times. But the videos I've seen of the one there in Black Ops 4 looks really good, really well done, well polished compared to the others.
It is, and what's cool is they took some elements from some of the other Call of Duty games and put them in there. I think Nuketown is one of the areas of the
Right.
so I
Yeah, I
like
knew
that.
they were doing that. Yeah.
And I just finished. I wrote my review for Townsman, which is
Mhm.
it's an old PC strategy game that has made its way to the Switch. That game is pretty good. It's quite difficult. At least I found it to be. But yeah, I like that. I need to get back to Starlink. I don't know if it's going to happen because I'm going to start Fallout tonight. I just got my
Yeah.
Kinect set up so I can stream that and have a camera. And one of my cats who's right next to me, I'm sure he'll be on my lap the whole time. As far as I've been watching football. My Rams are doing quite well, so I've been inclined to watch them. We've had more national games this year than I think in the last decade combined. And I started watching the show Eureka again. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
I did. I think I watched like an episode or something when it very first came out, but I think it was one of those where I just had so much going on, I just couldn't devote the time to get into it enough. It looks really good. I've heard great things. A lot of actually, like I have a bunch of nerds that, as far as family goes, that watch stuff like that. So they've told me about it as well.
I really enjoy it. I've seen it 2 or 3 times, so it's a good show. It's fun. If you got kids, it's something you can watch with the kids, and none of it's really that risque.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's pretty cool, especially if you're
that's
into nerdy stuff.
that's good. That's something I always worry about with the ones that are more nerd oriented. Is too often they still trying they get into that PG-13 up, rating that just for me personally, I don't have any kids, but still,
Yeah,
like I don't know. I don't know if I would want any young ones watching some of them, but
yeah.
that's
I'd say at its most intense, it's PG-13.
yeah,
But
yeah.
it was on Sci-Fi Channel, and
Mhm.
it's a family show, really.
Good.
So,
Yeah, very
all right,
nice.
let's get into our main topic, Fallout
Mhm.
76.
All right.
Now, I have not had a chance to play it. I've got it installed. I hope to get on in there after the show tonight. So I'm
Mm.
gonna let you talk about the beta because you've got more experience with it than I do.
Yeah, I started playing it with the very first stress test and have played in every beta session. And I'll just go ahead and say I really do love it. I think it's a really good game for what it is, and that's something that I think too many people uh, can't get through. Is the fact that they want to think of it as a Fallout game, but it is very different than any of the ones before. I mean, just the fact that it's multiplayer, is a big difference. But even other things about it, the storyline is a huge difference, because this is not focused on giving you a quest and expecting you to just go do those quests, turn them in, get another quest, go out to stuff like that. This is really putting you out in the world, just like kind of like just like if something like this were to actually happen, the big old the atomic war and everything, and then years later come out of a vault. Well, what are you going to do at that point in time? You're going to try and survive.
Yeah,
You're going to try and find a good place to set up a camp, and find good areas to try and get the materials you need, food, water, and just random stuff you need to build or whatever. And so this game is more about letting you create your own story. Um, I mean, especially because I've only played in the beta so far, there were bugs and everything like that. Every once in a while you get a little lag issue. I never had a big issue with that at all. It was like very minor, and only in certain areas basically. But then early on in the beta, I noticed like bugs with like the enemies, they would get distorted or something like that. Uh, but for the most part, I didn't experience any game-breaking bugs or anything like that. Um, But as far as everything else goes, it's my big thing. The last couple sessions we had in the beta, one of my big things was building up my camp, and I was having a lot of fun with that. But what I didn't realize is there is a pretty limited what they call a budget for your camp at first, which kind of sucks because you actually once I started building up this nice big shack or whatever you want to call it, big house, I built it up and I started putting like turrets and everything for defense. And after the first few turrets, I couldn't build anymore because I had already spent all my budget making the actual building. So I got to work on that once I can actually start playing again. But overall, the good is, to me, the good about Fallout 76, I actually like the fact that I get to make my own story. I'm not so focused on the quest lines. That's something that I struggle with in other games is like, you start getting such tunnel vision at times, or you get distracted by all the side quests, things like that. This does have quests. It does give you a basic mission when you first come out of the vault. Pretty easy to complete, really. And then it lets you just be on your own, do what you want to do. And then there are certain quest lines that you can go and find. And this is the thing. It kind of sits on both the good and the bad, depending on the player. Some people need that structured story and things like that. And I completely get that. If you're looking for something like that, it's not for you. This is literally, you are role-playing. I mean, this is, to me, the epitome of being a role-playing game, because you are not defined. There is not a defined character. You define your own character, and you do what you would do if you were that character. You can think about it as, I'm playing myself in the game, pretty much. Like, this is exactly what I would do if I was in that situation, rather than having to react to the NPCs so much. I'm just doing exactly what I would do if I was in the situation. And to me, it just works. It really pulls me in, and I'm really upset that I haven't been able to get my game yet. It's driving me crazy.
Are you going to be getting it tomorrow? Did they say?
Yeah, that's what they say. It's supposed to be in tomorrow. It already left the distribution center that's down south of me, so we'll see. I saw the mailman after I got the notification and everything. The mailman shows up, and I'm like, oh, maybe, but no. So can't get it tomorrow, but that's all right.
Now, what you're talking about the NPCs, one thing that I heard that struck me as odd from other Fallout games is there really are none, and that means there's no NPC bandit raiders or anything like that are alive anyways.
In a way,
Steel.
Well, and this is the thing. There is a Brotherhood of Steel quest line. I haven't done it yet or anything like that. But from my understanding, you're right. You're not going to actually find the Brotherhood of Steel alive, at least. They were saying, oh shoot, why can't I think of his name now? The main spokesman and everything. I can't think of his name. But anyway, see, Howard. Tom Howard? No, that's not. Todd Howard. Thank you. He was saying that there are not going to be no human NPCs. At least normal ones. They have basically, instead of having real raiders, you find some raiders, but they're dead. And this is the thing. To get quests, the majority of it is through notes you find, through holotapes, and through computer terminals and robots. Those are the big ones that I've found so far as giving you quest lines. I hate holotapes, so that kind of annoys me. Don't get me wrong. That's one of the bad points of it. I absolutely despise the holotapes in the game. They can be kind of humorous at times, but most of it is just kind of boring. and kind of annoying because you start one and it's just like you hear this background voice that I barely ever even paid attention to. I'm off. I start it and run off to do other stuff most of the time. But it's not bad as far as that goes, but it does get a little annoying. But I think the notes you find laying around, notes you find on some, like dead bodies or whatever, that works. The computer terminals, that's not too bad typically. And but yeah, as far as no human NPCs, the enemy is still more than just ghouls. There are ghouls out there, and then there's your normal mole rats and mutant hounds, or not just mutant hounds, but mongrels, things like that. But then you also have what are called, well, first off, you have the super mutants, who are intelligent, at least compared to ghouls, anyways. And so there's even a super mutant trader that walks around with the Brahmin, which is basically a two-headed cow. And he's a trader, and he's kind of funny, actually. The different things he say are pretty interesting. Then you have also the Scorch. The Scorch basically are in between human and ghoul. They're going towards the way of ghoul, but they still have some intelligence, and they do use weapons, guns, and things like that. So it's the same thing as Raiders, just with a different skin. That's how I see it. But part of the quest line, the main quest and stuff, kind of explains why there aren't any more human NPCs out there. So it all ends up making sense if you pay attention. But I understand that some people just can't stand it. I think most of the time it's just they get set in their minds that, oh, there's no human NPCs, I'm not going to like it. So then they go and try and play it, and it comes true because, well, they're already thinking that. Yeah. So I was thankful, thankfully went into it with an open mind, and I'm really enjoying it. It's got its issues, don't get me wrong, but they're already addressing some, like storage space was very limited. They're already addressing that, saying it's going to go higher. You are going to be allowed to respec your character at some point. So I mean, they're already addressing the issues. I mean, this was a beta. So now, like I said, I haven't played since launch, so we'll see what they've gotten done so far.
Okay, cool. Now, mechanically, what's different from previous Fallout games, and do you like it?
The VATS I hate. I mean, I'll just be completely honest. When I say I hate it, the last couple sessions, I actually started getting really used to it and being able to understand it. There are still some flaws with it. I mean, obviously, it's not going to be like it was in Fallout 4. Time's not going to slow down, and things like that. The one issue that I think they need to address is, like, I was using a real nice hunting rifle that I modded out pretty good to have really long range with a nice scope and everything. And I'd go into VATS, and I mean, talking like 20 feet away is some enemy, and it's saying I'm at like 2% chance of shooting it, hitting it. And it's like, okay, come on. I mean, they had to like get up like within 5 feet, and then it would say, like 70, 80% chance. So that was kind of frustrating at times, but it did help a lot. I've found that when you're dealing with an enemy that's like kind of running quickly in front of you or whatever, you hit that VATS, it stays with them. And so that really helped out at times. So I just got used to it. And you do get perks that can help it, that improve it. So there's that. I haven't gotten into later levels, so I don't know how much it helps it, how great it becomes, or if it actually becomes worth putting points into. I don't know.
Okay.
But as far as other mechanics go, for the most part, it's basically kind of a mashup between New Vegas and Fallout 4 in a lot of ways. You have to repair your weapons and armor just like you did in New Vegas. But then you have the camp system that's more like settlement building in Fallout 4. You have the one thing that I find actually it's very different, but I think works really well is to be able to learn certain mods for weapons and stuff, unlike before where as you level up, that it just opens up to you and you automatically know how to make it. This time you actually have to either find the plans for these things, ooh, excuse me, or you have to scrap the weapons. So like if you scrap a 10 millimeter pistol, you have a chance to learn a new mod for a 10 millimeter pistol. Or same with the hunting rifle, you scrap it, you have a chance to learn a mod for the hunting rifle. I think it works really well, and the chance is very high. I would say pretty close to 50% of the time I was learning a new mod, so it goes pretty quick. Now I will say sometimes I think, if I'm not mistaken, I wasn't paying enough attention. A lot of times you can learn, it'll say you learned a new mod, but it was one that you've already learned before. So it's one of those where you have a chance to learn a new mod or a chance to learn a mod, but whether it's new or not, that's up in the air. But I still, learned pretty quick most of the mods I wanted. And then I think it might also be level dependent. So like I didn't learn how to build a suppressor for certain weapons because just like in Fallout 4, that was one of the last things you would learn is how to put a suppressor on, because that was just considered so important. But yeah, as far as other mechanics go, the majority of them, were fairly similar. You do have, instead of having like your favorite set to a specific, like, and this is on console, of course, but instead of having a specific weapon set to a button on the D-pad, a direction on the D-pad, now you actually have to go into your favorites wheel because of adding in the I can't remember which direction it was you have to press to get to the social menu, so you can do your emotes and everything within the game. So they added that, and then they have the I believe it's down is automatically use a stim pack, or no, it's to the right. To the right is automatically use a stim pack, which unfortunately that caused issues for me because I would accidentally use a stim pack when I only have like just a sliver of health gone, just because I was trying to use it like the favorites. So that was kind of annoying, but it's one of those you just get used to after a time. It's just because they needed to set it up, free it up for other things.
Right on. My cats they wanted attention, so I figured I may as well hold them. The big boy. Now, with when you dismantle the weapons and you learn the mods, those don't take up inventory spots, do they?
No.
The blueprints. Okay.
Yeah, the only thing that takes up inventory slots is the actual materials you gain from scrapping it, like screws or steel or wood or whatever. Okay. But no, the actual mods themselves, you just learn. Now, if you find plans out in the world, they do go into your inventory and they take up a little bit of your weight limit, but it's pretty minor. It's like I think I was at 170 or 180 pounds. Well, they don't call it pounds, but I'm going to call it pounds because it's easier that way. But like 180-pound limit that I could carry at a time, and it took like maybe a quarter of a pound or half a pound, something like that, for a plan. But then as soon as you learn that plan, then it disappears completely. So yeah, okay. Nothing crazy. Yeah, most of what takes up your weight, honestly, is weapons and armor. Even the ones you're using or wearing will be taking up some of your space. And tends to be the heaviest part of what you carry. Now there are perks to make them lighter. So I know I had taken perks to make my junk and I think my food and water, stuff like that. They have perks to make all for each different group of items can be actually made lighter with
All
perk
right.
cards. So
All right, well, let's move on to our next topic. I'm sure we'll be talking about this game for weeks to come.
right.
So, we're on to the next set of games in our top 20 licensed games.
Yep.
And the first one this week is Spider-Man, the recently released PlayStation 4 game by Insomniac. It's a lot of fun. I wrote a review on it. There have been a lot of Spider-Man games made over the probably the last 20, 25 years, going back to the Super Nintendo. And some of them are really good, some of them are not. This is by far the pinnacle of Spider-Man video games. And not just in terms of the graphics and because it's the latest one. It was very well written. The gameplay's good. There's a good variety of things to do. For me, it's a contender for Game of the Year. It's just phenomenal. I decided I'm gonna wait to play all the DLC together all at one shot. But the DLC's out and they're releasing one each month. At least that's the plan. So hopefully they'll be done next month with it. But yes, so Spider-Man, you still have not played yet.
I have not, unfortunately. Looks amazing, but no.
It is, and it's a timely mention with Stan Lee's passing the other day. So next up, we've got DC Universe Online. Did you ever play this?
Yes, actually I have. And I really enjoyed it. It's a good it's a good MMORPG. It does a good job, especially being free. I never bought anything for it, and I was able to do a lot in it and just have fun, kind of explore around. And it definitely, I mean, it's not a WoW killer. Obviously, it's been out now for quite a while, and definitely did not kill WoW. I mean, I don't know that anything ever will, except WoW itself. But it's a good, fun game. You get to be a superhero, and it does a good job of making you feel like that too. I liked character creation, and it is great. The abilities you get to choose, the ability trees you get to choose, classes basically. There's a lot there. Now it's a little more limited if you don't pay for it, but I didn't care. I got the one. I got to be what I wanted to be basically. Although I will say that there were times when I really wanted to pay for it. Just because they came out with some really cool stuff. They keep bringing out, and that's one thing that's really great. They do keep offering more content, and it's not. And most of the time, it's like you could do the subscription service and be able to get all of it, which is nice. Or you can pick and choose basically what you want for a price. Microtransactions, yes, and it is. I will, call it what it is. It is pay to win in a way. But that's not in that situation. I don't think it's really that big a deal because you're playing for free to start off with, and then you have to pay a little more to actually be relevant in the game.
To unlock, the electrical power and a couple of the other powers. I played it on PlayStation 3 the first probably 3 or 4 months it was out, back when you had a monthly subscription for it.
Right, yeah.
And God, I played that game and just that game for those months.
Yeah.
And I really loved it. And then the PlayStation Network went down.
Hey, Colin, we're talking about DC Universe Online.
So the PlayStation Network went down and I stopped playing it. And I came back briefly about a year or so after and had no idea what was going on. But I really enjoyed it. One of my favorite things to do when I was running around is I played a hero, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And you go to the enemy hideouts where the level like 4 characters are spawning. And I
Uh,
would pick up cars and just whip them at the enemies. So the villains, they'd run out and just one-shot them.
nice.
Kind of a jerk move, but
Yeah, but still fun.
it was fun. I mean, I would do it for about 5 minutes and then I'd move on. I really liked the raiding in that game. I thought the raids were a lot of fun. I liked the gear system, especially that you could, once you unlocked a gear style, you could keep the style of a
Yeah.
cool item and use something else that had better stats.
Yes, and that's actually not to kind of hijack the topic, but to go back to Fallout 76, I completely forgot about this. One of the things I really love about it is that in previous games, it's you put on a piece of armor, that's what's going to show up, and
Yep.
that's what you want to look like. In
And a lot
Fallout,
of times you look like a doofus because you mix and match.
exactly.
You got a
This
mop bucket on your head and
right,
a sweet chest plate
yeah.
and a hula skirt.
Right. Well, in Fallout 76, it actually allows you. There are the visual clothing that is shown instead of armor, and you can put whatever you want as far as that goes on, and it doesn't change any of your statistics at all. So, and pretty much the hat you wear and the outfit that you wear is completely free and clear of all that, and you can look however you want. And that is one thing. They do have the store, the atomic shop they call it, and you have atoms that you actually earn them in the game, or you can buy them with actual real money to be able to then get these the clothing items, these visuals, just cosmetic items. Thank you. Couldn't think of that term. And that is the only thing that costs money is cosmetics. There is no pay to win. And one other thing they did put out, it was Howard Price, or not Howard Price. But anyways, he was like the VP of marketing for Bethesda, put out that any new content for Fallout 76, including DLC and everything like that, is going to be absolutely free. So
Like
yes,
that.
yeah, like that was something that I was kind of worried about. Is like, okay, are they going to do it like WoW and just come out with expansion after expansion after expansion that you're going to have to pay for, or what? All this DLC stuff that people keep coming out with. No, it says from launch on, it is going to be absolutely free. So
Like
sorry
that.
to go back to that topic, but yeah, that just brought it up, and I
Oh,
figured.
that's all right. That's all right.
But
Next
yeah,
on our list is Star Wars Battlefront. Now this is the old one from the original Xbox and PlayStation 2. This game was so much fun. A buddy of mine in college, we used to just sit and we loved to get in the AT-AT and just destroy everything.
oh yeah, they did a real good job of that game. Really making you feel like you're in the Star Wars universe as
Yep.
far that goes. It
Both
definitely
1 and 2 that came out on those systems, I think.
I never did play 2 on it, and then I think it was the original, and then of course I played the newer not newer Battlefront on PS4.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think they did a great job with the first one. I never did play the second one because it just supposedly tanked. And I mean, it had loot crates, right?
What's that?
It had the loot crates and all that, right?
Yeah, and that was why it didn't do well. I don't think it was necessarily a bad game. And I've thought about getting it because it's on sale. Like it seems like every other week on the PlayStation Store, digitally for like $5 to $10.
Right.
And I'm tempted, but my hang up is that is it worth getting if there's no one playing it?
Exactly.
It has a small story campaign, so maybe for $5 it'd be worth it. But
not to me. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like it lost me as soon as I heard about the loot crate microtransactions that were actually more like a pay to win type of situation. I was like, no, I can't stand games like that.
Yeah,
no,
I'm trying to think. They said something like if you wanted to grind everything out in the game when it launched, you'd have to play 8 hours a day for like 1,124 days or something absurd like that.
It was ridiculous. Yeah, it was like years that you would have to play it. And it's just like, or you can pay, $100 and get everything. It's like I can't stand that. It drives me crazy. I mean, I don't mind grinding for gear. I really don't. I mean, you look at most MMOs, you're going to have to grind to get the gear, at least to some extent. But when you're talking gears, no, no.
Yeah. Colin, no, I have not played Knights of the Old Republic. My laptop, it can run basic office programs, but it's not really meant for gaming. That's why I asked if Path of Exile was on consoles.
I did play it some, and it was pretty fun. But that was also when I was doing more like I think I was playing World of Warcraft at the same time, and I just trying to transfer between the two just didn't work. But it was like in between certain, like I would play WoW for a while, then stop and play other stuff, and then that was not one of those times. It was during one of those gaps that I was playing DC Universe, and
Gotcha.
and so I was able to do it, and it was similar enough to make it familiar without being just a copy. Is how I would say it.
Yeah. I did play Star Wars Galaxies, which was its predecessor.
I didn't.
But it was fun. Star Wars Battlefront, though, back to that. Those games were a lot of fun. I really liked what they did with the heroes in the game. Sorry, my cats are tonight and knocking stuff around and distracting me. They're normally pretty well behaved.
I actually had to close the door to my office because my dog kept wanting to try and come in.
Oh, if I did that, you would hear them, the chorus, banging on the door. And one of them,
my dog's pretty good about going and finding a nice place to lay down and being fine.
Oh, yeah, my cats are obsessed with me. But the 22-pound guy, he'll actually throw his body weight into the door, so you'll hear banging. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. Speaking of cats, next up on our list is Lion King. This is the one from the Super Nintendo and the Sega Genesis era.
And if you beat it, wow.
Yeah. If you beat it, you are a video game master.
Right.
But much like Aladdin, where in a lot of these platformers from that era, for being kids' games, they were absurdly difficult.
Yep.
I don't know how that made it through quality control, where they thought, you know what, an 8-year-old really should be playing this. Like, I don't think I could beat it now. So.
Yeah. It's. I mean, you go back to those platformers and stuff, and that was actually really some of the appeal to it was just seeing how far you could go. These games now, it's like, oh, I want to get 100% completion, which is still, pretty tough. Now, obviously, they start going back to the insanely difficult stuff with like Dark Souls and those games. But it's very different. You can still beat those games, without killing pulling all your hair out. Well, those of us with hair. But no, those old ones, it's very few people I know from my generation of gamers have beaten them. I mean, they might have beat one or two of those styles, but even that, it's very rare.
Yeah, they're cruel and unusual in their difficulty.
Very much so, but I love it.
Yeah,
it's like, you'd get frustrated at times, but and I think that's when I started losing my hair, honestly. But at the same time, it was so much fun. When you feel so accomplished just getting past certain levels, not even beating the game, but just you're playing on this one level over and over again, trying to get through it, when you only have 3 lives. And once you do, that first time you accomplish it really does give you a feeling of accomplishment. And I don't see that too often in this generation of games. Very, very few. It would give me that sense of accomplishment.
No, I mean, I played Dark Souls and Bloodborne, and they're tough. They're not tough like these games were, though. I
Right.
went back
Yeah.
through and I played Mega Man 2 recently on the Switch, and no, thank you. Next up on our list, now I don't think you said you haven't played this one, but I have. This is circa 2010 Ghostbusters on the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3,
Right.
published by Atari. This game, it was the third Ghostbusters movie we never got. They had the original cast minus Sigourney Weaver and Rick Moranis doing all their voices. I believe the story was written by Harold Ramis, rest in peace, and Dan Aykroyd, and I don't know if Bill Murray wrote some of the story, but they all provide, lended their voices to it, and some of the dialogue in it fits just right in with the movies. You're at Central Park and it's haunted, and I forget what Egon said, but Central Park is a lot different. And Winston goes, "Yeah, I still have my wallet." Stuff like that. This game was phenomenal. The gameplay was a lot of fun. It played a lot like a Gears of War. You had, I think, 4 different with your normal proton pack and 3 different attachments to it that did different things for different ghosts. But one of the things I really enjoyed about the game was you'd have to use your PKE meter levels and find random haunted items. And reading the flavor text, the descriptions on them was hysterical.
Uh-huh.
And the trophy achievement list, some of it was pretty difficult to get, but the names of them and what you had to do to get them were great. There was one where you had to deal or destroy like $10,000 worth of furniture and decorations at the hotel, and I think it was called Nice Shooting Tex or something like that.
Nice.
If you still have one of those old consoles, go to GameStop and get a used copy of it sometime.
Yeah.
It's a pretty short game. I played through it a couple times. I mean, I think you can probably do the story in about 12 hours.
Right.
But it's a lot of fun. Bless you.
Sorry, fighting a cold.
Yeah, me too.
But finally getting over it though. I'm actually doing a lot better today than I was yesterday.
It's good to hear.
Yeah.
Ghostbusters is you play the recruit or the rookie, I forget what his name is. He doesn't actually say anything.
Uh-huh.
So you interact with the 4 Ghostbusters, and oh man.
No, and you said that was on 360, right?
360 Xbox, or PlayStation 3.
Do you know if it'd be backwards compatible on Xbox One?
I don't think it is because
Okay.
it was published by Atari, and there's probably some issues there with the licensing.
Yeah, they like to publish all their stuff and republish it over and over again.
Well, but I mean, there's several different Atari companies now. I think the one that published it is one that's defunct.
Oh, okay.
And I think that's the issue. I could be mistaken, though.
Wouldn't that mean that the license would be available, though?
Someone would have to buy it.
Right.
And then
I'm wondering how that would work.
Publish it. Yeah, maybe THQ Nordic will buy it up, which leads us in our next topic. I read today that they have 35 unnamed games in development right now.
Oh wow.
I don't know if you read much about THQ Nordic recently?
I haven't read anything, no.
So THQ, they made Homefront, and I think they used to make the Rainbow Six Siege games. They always made like AA-ish games that were okay.
I mean, I know THQ Nordic, yeah.
They went under. Well, someone bought the rights and called it THQ Nordic out of Vienna, Austria now.
Oh, okay.
And they're just going through and they're buying up any dead IP that was popular, and they're just the Shadows of Amalur, a whole bunch of stuff. They're just buying up the rights to the games.
Yes, I did hear about that. And didn't they just released one, I thought, or they announced one that they were releasing. I can't remember.
About two weeks, Darksiders 3 is going to be their first real big title.
That's right. But no, I was thinking that they had actually bought the rights to an older franchise. And
they probably had, yeah.
But it's one that like they specifically said they are releasing one soon for it or something. But I think
wouldn't be surprised.
I think it was more like they're releasing the collection for it or so of the games, and I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, I'll have to look, but yeah, I mean they're just buying titles left and right. In fact, they're the ones that put. I don't know if they just published it for the Switch, but Townsend with the THQ Nordic. So
Yeah.
So when I just put the review up for it last night. Um, and then speaking of buying intellectual properties and developers, did you see any of the Xbox, the XO18 event in Mexico City over the weekend?
I did watch some of it. I had to leave after the first like half hour or so. I can't remember exactly. But yeah, I watched oh the Crackdown 3.
Yep,
Uh,
February
love
15th.
love the way that looks. I hadn't played any of the Crackdown series. Well, when they said that they were putting the first one on Game Pass, I tried to download it immediately, but I had to stop it because of how bogged down the servers were. But
Yeah.
I did actually end up trying it. I got a really big GTA feel
Hmm.
to it, which and that's fine. I wasn't a huge fan of GTA. I have GTA 5 and I haven't played it in I don't know how long. It's just they're okay, but just not my style. Now the
Yep.
multiplayer that they were showing, that looks like it could be a lot of fun.
Hmm.
Um, that I'd be interested in trying out.
And what's interesting with the Crackdown date of the 15th is that puts it a week ahead of
Oh,
Metro. Days Gone was in the time slot that got pushed back to April. There's some
yeah.
other game coming out right around then in February, but that Crackdown puts it a week
Rage,
ahead of them.
Rage 2.
Rage, that's right. Yep.
Yeah, it's coming out. Is it February? No, I think that one's coming out in January. I think Rage 2 is January, if I'm not mistaken. It might be later. I could be wrong. But that one, it's funny. My dad is super excited for that one. I think he's actually playing the first Rage right now, replaying through it. Waiting for Fallout 76 as well because
Yeah.
we ordered two copies together, and we're because we played. My dad's a gamer as well. He's the one that got me started on the old Atari 2600 when I was a kid. So
Nice.
yeah, he's a big gamer. He's beat
Now,
for New Vegas. I couldn't tell you how many times.
nice. Now, also from that XO18, a couple tie-ins more to Fallout. It's a Fallout themed night.
Uh-huh.
Xbox purchased Obsidian, which we all know made New Vegas.
Yep, I didn't
They
see it
also,
live, but I heard about that. Yeah.
yep, and that had been rumored for a while. But they also purchased In Exile, which made Bard's Tale and Wasteland, or Wasteland 2. Now, the people who made Wasteland made the original Fallout games.
Yep. Excuse me one sec. I apologize.
That's all right. So yeah, it's a pretty big deal. Microsoft is buying up, more studios. They're gonna have the exclusives next generation. We'll wait and see how good they're gonna be. But that's where it's been hurting them this year, or this generation, is the lack of exclusives. Just Halo and Gears and Forza.
Yeah,
But
that's the thing. PlayStation is killing them on exclusives like bad, and they need it. They had to. I mean, well, it was this past E3. They came out with how many different developers did they buy up?
oh, I think
Studios?
it's close to 30 they bought in the last year.
Right, it is ridiculous. And you know what? That's exactly what they need to do to get those exclusives. I mean, I hate it because then, you can only buy them on on an Xbox, but at the same time, it's extremely smart and maybe it'll force some really good games out there.
Hopefully.
And that's what I'm hoping for with it.
I think you'll find a lot of them though will also be crossplay with PC. So
And that's one big thing, they're pushing that crossplay, especially between especially Microsoft doing Xbox and PC. They're pushing it between those two, and
yep.
now with they're adding in the Switch. Now, obviously, they're not going to have their exclusives going over to the Switch and everything, but just like we were talking last week, that the crossplay it is progressing nicely. I'm excited to see what happens.
Yep. So am I. We got Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee coming out this Friday. They got great reviews from what I've read. There's a lot more for your your diehard Pokemon fans, I think, than they were initially letting on. So if you're a fan of Pokemon, it's good news for you.
Yep.
And also on the Switch, Black Friday, they're coming out with a bundle that includes Mario Kart 8 Deluxe for free. So you're not, the previous bundles they've had the price of the game rolled up into it, and you end up getting the carrying free.
Right.
This one's gonna have the actual game for the same price as a vanilla Switch. So
Yeah, really good right there. I would highly, if you're in the market, definitely check it out. And if you want more information, we do have an article up on the A&G website that mentions that, or that talks about it. So definitely check that out. It's a good deal. If I was in the market for it, I'd go for that too.
yeah,
Because I still don't have Mario Kart 8 for. I had Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U. And so when I got my Switch, I just couldn't see spending another, $60 on it. It's a great game, and I'd like to get it eventually, but at this point, it's been so long. It's like, you know what? I'll probably just wait for Mario Kart 9. So we'll see.
Yep. And we got Battlefield 5 coming out at the end of the month. Red Dead Online is going to be out sometime in November. Rockstar's saying, or in Take-Two.
Yeah. Well, and the Battlefield 5 though, they have, was it a beta or whatever it was, where people that had the EA online, the EA whole thing, they could play.
Yeah.
And I'm hearing real good things about it. Actually, I think
sure it's a phenomenal game. All the Battlefields, they've
right,
been really good with. Hardline got a bad rap because it was cops and robbers.
Right.
But I played it. The story on it was a lot of fun.
Was it?
The multiplayer had some cool modes that were unique. We had to go either, if you're the robbers, you have to steal the money from the vault, and if you're the cops, you got to guard the vault, and things like that. And you can take the money back, and it's kind of like a tug of war. I really liked it.
Nice. Yeah. I didn't play Hardline at all, and now I just played Battlefield 1. Just started playing it a little bit, and yeah, I was kind of up in the air about playing, but then it is free with Xbox Live Gold, so I picked it up and was playing it a bit, and I was really actually quite surprised at how much I liked it.
Yeah, it's a fun game.
Even the multiplayer. I mean, you hear about these games being so toxic and everything. I tell you, I had a great time with it. And I was like, I chose medic and was like throwing out bandages all over the place and just having a great time with it.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to Battlefield 5. Now I'm gonna have to wait until springtime probably to pick it up, but just because of how many other games I want right now. But definitely looks good.
Are there any other games coming out you want to talk about? Video games?
Well, there's I mean, obviously Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Oh man, so excited about that. Got that one pre-ordered. That's one of the ones that and Fallout 76 are my big holiday ones right now. Going to be holding up most of my time, especially Smash. I'm going to be getting on there and trying to get up through the multiplayer ranks on it. I'm telling you.
Now, from what I heard, the only characters available initially are the ones from the original Smash. So all the other ones you're gonna have to unlock, all 65 or whatever.
Right, and that's through the Spirits campaign or whatever you want to, story mode, whatever you want to call it. That they did that teaser trailer for it. That was just amazing. With the whole.
That's the one with Sonic and Pikachu, right?
Yep, exactly. Reaching back for Pikachu. Oh, just tears your heart out, man. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to that part of it. But I'm looking forward to just going through and unlocking all the characters through that story mode. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. I think they've learned so well through the past, what now, 4? This will be the 4th one, I think, because you had Super Smash Brothers, Brawl, Melee. Yeah, and yeah. So this would be the 5th. Yeah. So okay, man, wow. But they've learned, and bringing all of the characters, all of the maps, adding in how many characters did they add in? It's like 10 more or something like that, or more.
Yeah, and there's 5 more coming through DLC over the next year.
Right, yeah. The new Piranha plant. I thought that was pretty awesome, actually. He looks pretty cool. I might have to give him a go, see how he does. But
what do you think the odds are? One of the 5 is Waluigi.
I'm not going to comment on that just because of the animosity that players are showing because he isn't a character yet. It's like, nope, I'm not touching that. I don't know if he is.
I don't think he's gonna be.
You want to know my true opinion? I don't think he is either because he's already one of the what are they called? Not true. No, he can come in
trophies.
Assist trophies. Thank you. Yeah. He's an assist trophy already, so I don't think he's going to actually end up being a character. I think it'd be awesome if he was, but I don't think it's going to. Now, don't get me wrong; it could because they're getting so much pressure from the fans, but I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. So Sakurai tweeted about that, about asking for Sakurai's the director about asking for more characters.
Right.
The tweet was only in English; it wasn't in Japanese. Like,
oh really?
Really, to Americans, stop it. So. Anyways, any other games?
Yes, Rage 2, like I was just talking about. The big thing is the first Rage, I think, was so underrated. It is a lot of fun, pretty well done, interesting graphics, a lot of blood and guts and crazy people. Very, very similar in some aspects to Borderlands. As far as the environment goes, it's not that comic book cutout type of artwork.
More realistic graphics.
Right, but that very colorful as far as like the enemies, being crazy psychos and, mutated, stuff like that. That's what you're going to see that's what the first one was like. And the racing in it, I think that aspect of it was better than it is in Borderlands, but also very similar. I mean, the games are very similar in a lot of ways, but for one thing, Rage isn't as much an RPG as Borderlands was, but it does focus more on the vehicle combat, stuff like that. You're able to upgrade your vehicles more. Things like that. There's a lot of really cool stuff to it. But I think check out Rage 2. It's going to be awesome. I'm looking forward to that one. And then the other game I wanted to talk about real quick is Warcraft 3 Reforged. Now, I grew up. Well, when I say grew up, I when in the early days of PC multiplayer gaming, it was Warcraft, StarCraft, Age of Empires, Civilization. Those were the games I played a lot. I love strategy games, and as far as real-time strategy games go, I still struggle with whether or not I'd go Warcraft or StarCraft. Different. Especially Warcraft 3 when it brought in the more hero system of it all. I think they did a real good job with it and loved it. So I'm really looking forward to playing it. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it if it's only on PC though, because I have an older laptop. So it's a gaming laptop, but I don't think it's going to be able to hold up for it. So I might have to wait and see what happens, whether or not I can get it.
RTS games usually aren't too demanding, though.
You'd be surprised. The big thing is you got to think about how large the armies can be and the number of models that are going to be on each screen. That's when you're going to get bogged down very heavily. I think about StarCraft. Geez, you could have 200, like 100 or more. You could have like 2 100-unit armies going at each other on the screen. It's demanding. Now, Warcraft 3 tends to focus on smaller groups, squads, that sort of thing, more than StarCraft did, so it might not be as bad, but with the accelerated graphics that they're putting into it, I have a feeling it's going to demand more than I have.
Right on. All right, well, that's about all we got for this week. Real quick, I want to mention, as always, John's stream every night. But there's also, for the Alpha Nerds Guild streamers, there's the achievements, where if you can get people to donate $75, you will be given a t-shirt.
Yep.
So if you're a streamer, keep that in mind. It's for a good cause.
Make sure that if people are donating straight to the site, they do include your streamer name in it, so that you get credit for it, just to get the t-shirt. Hey, and I know none of you are like, I'm only doing this for the t-shirt, but it is a nice little incentive to do. The charity, if you don't know about the charity, it is the Thanksgiving, ANG, that what they're doing is families in need that can't afford a big Thanksgiving dinner are going to be getting a huge, they went through the list of stuff they get. It's amazing. You're talking, a good $100 worth of food for their families. It's real awesome. A great thing that the group is doing again. So yeah, any of you streamers out there, go over to the ANG Streamers Facebook page. There's an application, and make sure you're a part of the ANG group and get in there, start streaming. We are going to be also doing the Christmas one later, so if you can't get in time for this, still do it just to get in for that. But it's a great thing. Make sure like I said, make sure you have any donations. Keep track of it yourself as a streamer, so that you can, if there are any issues, you can show them, yeah, I did get this much donated, so you can get that t-shirt.
Yeah.
Sorry.
All right, well, I think that's it for tonight. Is there anything else you want to cover?
Just sorry for the grossness, but no. Other than that, I think I'm pretty good. Yeah, looks good to me.
Yeah, sorry if I was distracted by, like I said, my cats were being terrorists tonight. So
your flock.
Yeah, zoo. I have 2 cats and a dog. So
yeah.
All right, folks.
All right.
Well, have a good one. Live long.
Later, everybody. Awesome. And I didn't hang up this time.